This is my dad. He's the guy in the middle with his tongue sticking out. He and I share the same last name, and it ends in Very, DeChevry. My dad had 14 siblings, most of which spelled their last name Verry. So my dad created an entire generation of DeChevrys that spell their last name with one R. And maybe it was the uniqueness of that last name, or maybe it was something else, but my dad always marched to the beat of his own drum. He always did what he thought was best, not necessarily what society or what others thought he should do. Like most parents, my dad tried to teach us lessons to become adults. And I'm sure there were hundreds, if not thousands of them. But today I'm going to talk about just three. The first of these lessons is perseverance or stick-to-itness. My dad seemed to be able to do anything he put his mind to. He designed the house, built the house. He did the electrical for the house. He did the plumbing for our house. We drove around in $100 cars that he kept fixed up and working when they broke down. When he was a kid, he designed an AM radio transmitter. You could record your voice and it would broadcast to people's nearby AM radios. And then later in life, he designed a phone system between our garage and our house. You could pick up the phone in one area, dial a number, it would ring in the other area, and you could talk back and forth. And this had no connection to the public phone system. This was internal to our house only. And it always amazed me how my dad could just do anything. He never seemed to have any problems with it. He would just do it. It wasn't until later in life that I realized that's not really how it worked. See, my dad failed lots of times. He would get a vision of something in his mind. He would try it. It wouldn't work. He would come back to it again and he would try it again. He would come back to it again and he would try it again. And he would keep repeating this process over and over and over again until he got the desired output that he was looking for. See, my dad never taught perseverance in his words. He taught it in his actions. I remember one time in particular, he was working on the car and he was trying to get these two pieces and they just wouldn't fit together. And he had to take a break and he had to sit down and focus on something else for a little while. And then a few hours later, he came back to it and those two pieces just fit right in almost immediately. Which brings me to my dad's second lesson, which is don't take life too seriously. My dad and I have always been very passionate about our thoughts. And I've always tended to have a mindset that if people just thought about the world the way that I did, their life would be so much easier. And this could cause a lot of tension. My dad and I would have these discussions. We'd be very passionate about what we're talking about. And we would get very loud. And to people around us, it would sound like, well, like we were yelling at one another. But we really weren't. We were just very passionate. My dad would have to remind me, don't take life too seriously. Now, my dad, like most dads, knew all the dad jokes. We somehow magically learn these when we become dads, but he took things one step further. He always wanted to see what the humor was in a situation. So with the example with the car coming back together, trying to fix those parts, he would take some time away, try to see the humor in it. What could he laugh about? Particular example was when he took me for the first time to university. So we left from Nova Scotia. It was my first time out of Nova Scotia. And we stopped in Moncton at Magic Mountain, Magnetic Hill. Now you might know Magnetic Hill. It's a tourist attraction where when you're at the bottom, there's an optical illusion that makes it seem like you're at the bottom of the hill and it sort of drags your car up. Now, back in my university days, we didn't have the internet. Phone calls were very expensive, so we wrote a lot of letters back and forth. And the first letter that my dad ever showed me was some funny ideas for how he thought Magic Mountain might work. And I'm showing an example of one here. And he's like, so there's a lady at the top, he says, and she flirts with you to distract you. And while you're not looking, she pushes a button and a giant conveyor belt pulls your car up. And he actually designed 3 or 4 of these silly scenarios just to make me laugh, because he knew that even though I was working hard in university, that I should still take the time to not take life too seriously. The third lesson, the one that I still have a hard time appreciating today, was the idea that we're measured in life by the sacrifices we make for others. And this is really hard for me. The reason is I'm the kind of person who believes I have to put myself first before I can help somebody else. I have to watch my own health, take care of my own self before I can give myself to others. So this idea of sacrificing never sat well with me. He said when I got older, I would look back and I would see it and I would understand it. And 30 years later, and I'm still struggling with this. But one of the things that I have learned is that what people remember us for is the services, the help that we provided. When people look back at us and think about us fondly, it's about the time that we helped them out of a particular situation. My mom and I always butted heads on things. She would say black, I would say white. We just never got along very well. And this one particular time I was really frustrated and I came out to my dad, he was working on the house, and I said, Dad, I can't get her to understand. No matter what I try, it always seems to be the wrong thing. I don't feel like I'm the son she needs me to be. And that's when my dad looked at me and said, you'll learn when you're older that you're measured in life for the sacrifices that we make to other people, we make for other people. And when I look back on it now, what it makes me think of is, what sacrifices did I make for my mom? There weren't any. There's hundreds of thousands of sacrifices that my mother made for me. And when I think of it from that perspective, I was being kind of selfish. So the 3 lessons from my father: perseverance, don't take life too seriously, and we're measured in life. I'm going to modify a little bit. We're measured in life by the service we provide to other people.